Jeff Bennett was raised in Veneta, Oklahoma, and during his senior year, he was the state champion in the pole vault and placed in the top 3 in long jump. Following high school, Bennett attended Oklahoma Christian College from 1966 to 1970. Bennett is considered the greatest athlete in Oklahoma Christian University's history. While at Oklahoma Christian, he won the NAIA championship in the decathlon in 1969 and 1970. In 1968, he was the NAIA champion in the 400-meter intermediate hurdles and was runner-up in the pole vault in 1970. The 4-time NAIA All-American still holds Oklahoma Christian records in the 400 hurdles at 51.44 seconds and the decathlon with 8,071 points. Upon graduation from Oklahoma Christian, Bennett was drafted by the U.S. Army. While in the Army, he competed in the Army Track and Field program. He won the International Military Games Decathlon in 1971 and qualified for the U.S. Olympic team in 1972. As a member of the 72 team, Bennett placed 4th in the decathlon with 7,974 points at the Olympic Games in Munich. He set a personal record of 8,121 points when he won the American Amateur Union's National Decathlon Championship in 1973. Bennett served as Oklahoma Christian's assistant track and field coach from 1974 to 1985. Bennett began his second stint as an Oklahoma Christian assistant track and field coach in 2003, working primarily with field event and multi-event competitors. In addition to his coaching duties, Bennett also served as Associate Dean of Students from 2003 to 2016. Bennett was inducted into the NAIA Hall of Fame in 1976 and won a charter honoree of the Oklahoma Christian Athletic Hall of Fame in 1991. In 2007, Bennett was named as one of the top 100 athletes of the state's first 100 years by the Oklahoman. He continues to coach track and field at Oklahoma Christian University, and we are honored to induct Jeff Bennett into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame.
Jeff will be introduced by Oklahoma County Commissioner Ray Vaughn, who was a teammate of his back at Oklahoma Christian. Commissioner Vaughn.
Good evening, everyone. To say that Jeff and I were teammates is something of a stretch. Unfortunately, I got the body of a decathlon competitor, and Jeff got all the talent. So, as a 6th grader, Jeff actually watched the 1960 Summer Olympic Games. He was inspired by the track and field events, especially the pole vault. 6 years later, as you have heard, he won the state pole vault title and medaled both in the hurdles and the long jump. The next year, he was a freshman at Oklahoma Christian. His enthusiasm for the sport would often find him at the track before the scheduled practice of that day. He would end up working out with the shot and the discus throwers, learning their events. Jeff said, "One day Coach Vaughn saw me throwing the shot and the discus, and he asked me if I ever thought about competing in the decathlon. I told him I didn't have any experience at the decathlon. He said he didn't either. So he decided to give it a try." At that time, most decathletes were about 6'2" and weighed about 200 pounds. Jeff is 5'8" and weighs today 150 pounds, about 5 pounds more than he did in college. In his second ever decathlon competition, and I want to emphasize this point, the second time the man ever competed in the decathlon, he qualified for a spot in the Olympic decathlon training camp, where he then finished 5th out of 20. The next year, Jeff won the national NAIA decathlon title, followed by wins his senior year at the Texas Relays, the Kansas Relays, and the Drake Relays in consecutive weeks. He then repeated as the NAIA decathlon national champion. It's been mentioned that he joined the Army track team. He competed overseas, consistently finishing among the top 10 decathletes in the world. And a year later, Jeff qualified for that U.S. Olympic decathlon team that would compete in Munich, Germany. He was joined on that team by Jeff Bannister and Bruce Jenner. Jeff was the top American finisher that year in Munich. finishing in 4th place overall. Bruce Jenner finished 10th. Bannister finished 21st. In '76, as he was scheduled to repeat and was favored to repeat as the top decathlete in the United States, a career-ending injury kept him from participating in the Olympics that year. In his career, Jeff entered 51 decathlons. He finished competition in 46 of them. He won 24 of them. Decathlon historian Dr. Frank Zarnowski writes that with a personal best score of 8,121 points, Jeff outranks every other decathlete to ever compete in the decathlon, pound for pound. Jeff retired from the National Guard in 2003 with the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. He's had successful teaching careers in the Middale and the Oklahoma City school districts, and he has served as a counselor in the Edmond School District. As was mentioned, he remains an assistant track coach at his alma mater, Oklahoma Christian University. In 1991, Jeff was one of the first inductees into the Oklahoma Christian University Sports Hall of Fame, along with his track coach, my father, Ray Vaughn. Today, Jeff lives in Edmond with Lisa, his wife of over 30 years. They have 2 grown daughters who are with them here tonight, and 2 grandchildren. And ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor indeed to present for induction into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, Mr. Jeff Bennett.
Wow, what a night. I would like to begin by thanking the Lord for some God-given talent without which none of this would have been possible. But you know, in this life, no man is an island. So I'd like to mention some people that played an important role in my decathlon and track career. First of all, I'd like to mention my high school track coach, Ronald Johnson of Veneta, Oklahoma. Coach Johnson, during my senior year, after I'd placed in the state and had a successful high school career, he was willing to write some letters to some universities to request that I get a scholarship. And he was also willing to drive me in his automobile to those visits. And so one July day, and about 51 years ago, we ended up at Oklahoma Christian University, where I met Coach Ray Vaughn. And after about an hour's visit and tour of the campus, I decided to attend that school, which was then Oklahoma Christian College. I started off thinking that I would just be a pole vaulter kind of guy, but Coach Vaughn insisted on everybody running, so I learned to run a little bit better too. But what I'd really like to say is that Coach Vaughn was not only my track coach, but he was a mentor, he was my teacher, and he was a great role model. And I really enjoyed competing for him. And he had vision, because I don't know of any other coach that would have taken a 145-pounder and introduced him to the decathlon. But he did that, and the rest is history. Now, along the way, there was a couple of guys on my team. When I started to do this decathlon thing, I was pretty scrawny. But there were 2 guys on my team that, one was a thrower, Jim Nugent. The other was another multi-guy named Gary Hill. And they were skilled in weightlifting. And so they got me in the weight room and really taught me a lot about strength building and that kind of thing. And I think that helped a great deal. And so I'm really grateful for them. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention my family because for the past 35 years, my wife, along with my daughters, have sacrificed a lot of weekends for me at track meets, weekends and even weeks at a time away at National Guard. And they've been a great support system. And so I really appreciate their willingness to let me do the thing that I love. And finally, I'd like to thank the Sports Hall of Fame for this honor, which is a great honor. And it's really great to know that I will be an important athlete in the history of sport in the great state of Oklahoma. Thank you.
Hope you can come back every year and be a part of the ceremony.
Right here close.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.